welcome to Tom and Rob Chat. That's Tom, I'm Rob. We're here chatting again for who knows how many it'll be this time. It was 90, then it was 16. I don't know. And it seems like we do the same good chat every time. Who knows? Maybe it's because we started out talking about, I shouldn't talk about meta stuff. We've got 35 seconds to get people all excited about what we're talking
Yeah, yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. What are we talking about?
I have no idea. I had a really, I'm kind of running at an energy deficit because I had a really full week last week. I sort of did all the stuff I like doing all in
Mm-hmm.
1 week, and there was something scheduled for a block of time every day for
Mm.
multiple things. There was a writing deadline because my writing group publishes a quarterly every 3 months, and it was
Mm-hmm.
deadline week for that. And I submitted several pieces for that. So I was doing a couple of working on that intermittently through the week. Last Tuesday we did one of these, which seems like it's just casual, but it's like I have to like kind of do stuff.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday I went to a movie, which I'll talk about. But now I'm doing this new thing where I want to like write a review and post it to Letterbox. So then it becomes kind of a task, a kind of a job. Like I'm watching the movie where I'm like I'm writing. I'm getting used to the walking out of the theater and using the dictaphone features of the phone to like narrate my thoughts. It's good enough to clean up and edit it later, but I have to do that. And then there was a music rehearsal because after months of kind of nudging a guy who has a little folk trio, like, you guys need a drummer? You need a drummer? He said, yes. Come play this Saturday. We'll rehearse Wednesday once, and then you'll be on the show on Saturday. I'm like, okay. And it just, low level stress all week. Like, I know it's going to be fine. It's going to be fun, but it's a thing. I haven't done
Yeah.
it. And in fact, it was kind of a life goal thing, live before an audience. And this is one of those guys that has so many friends. A lot showed up to a tiny little room, sort of meant for 25, but there were 30. So there were people standing room only in this tiny little room. But that was fun. But it was a whole thing that took a couple of nights of the week. And then he also has a podcast he does on Thursdays like this. And I was a
Mm.
guest on his podcast. I didn't really have to do anything. But again, I have to kind of schedule, show up,
Yeah.
be kind of on while it's happening. It's everything. And so I was kind of frazzled. Like, that was a fun week. Did the show, did all of it, turned in all my writing, did all that. But yeah, I'm a little wiped out. And
Yeah.
and yesterday, one of the things I like to do to kind of recharge my battery is go to my favorite restaurant, which is Magnolia Cafe. Um, and I've been a regular there for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm afraid, sometimes like if I'm grumpy because my battery's low, I'm going there. I am grumpy. I'm not like Mr. Cheerful because I want them to restore my. I worry I'm a little bit like Melvin Udall in As Good as It Gets. Just bring my eggs and leave me alone. And, and that guy showed up instead of me the other day. And they were busy at 11 a.m. in a way that I haven't seen them on a weekday for a while. And the the hostess is the one who seats you and brings you your beverages. And I asked for coffee and it didn't come. And
Oh.
I would say she moved on to other tables that were arriving after me, and they're getting their beverages, and I'm like, mm, the coffee's important. And after years of going there, I've learned the best time for the coffee is before the meal comes. After I've already
Mm-hmm.
started eating eggs and home fries, coffee tastes different. It's never the right temperature anymore. Kind of don't need it, so I really need it to arrive before the food does. And so I was getting even grumpier because I was like, coffee.
Where's my coffee?
Uh, um, and yeah, the food came, and the waitress was like, "So, is everything cool?" I'm like, "Not really. I never got my coffee." And she was kind of startled to hear me say anything other than "I'm great," which is what I usually do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "But don't." don't bring me the coffee now. I don't want it anymore. And that sounded a little like aggressive to them. And I'm just like, it's too late. Don't bring it and don't charge me for it. It'll really cheese me off. And they're like, okay. And then 5 minutes later, the original hostess comes by with the coffee. And I said, again, I don't want it. Take it away. And she's like, what? And when I have to repeat it, now I'm sounding even angrier. I don't want it. Because if you leave it here, I'll be charged for it and I'm not going to drink it and I don't want it. And she's like, okay. And, and then the waitress comes back. Sorry about the hostess. I told her about it and I told the manager, I'm like, well, don't get her in trouble. She's busy, but just like, it would have been nice if the coffee was here. And then the next thing that happened was, that same hostess goes to the booth next to mine and with a 8-foot pole with a mop end on top starts brushing the ceiling. And I'm like, what are you out of your mind?
What
I
about
start
my
putting napkins
food?
over my food. And a different guy comes by and he's like, hey, dude, you need some water? I'm like, no, but what the hell are you doing? This is going to get dust in my food. And he's like, ceiling's really clean. It's dusted. Don't worry about it. She's actually just trying to get condensation off the vent. I'm like, I actually go to this restaurant at 4 a.m. enough to see you diligently clean and mop the floors every day. I have never seen you clean this ceiling. You don't do that. And there was one time when my friend Ross was the manager at the other one, and he
Yeah.
went to a light fixture and not just the bulb, but he kind of wiggled the canister of it a little,
Uh-oh.
and a shower of dead bugs just rained down on him. I'm afraid it was like a Laurel and Hardy thing because he just kind of went, and I was cracking up laughing because of his deadpan. He was clearly not happy. No one wants it, if they're all desiccated, but no one's dried bugs down the back of their neck. It was just,
Yeah.
it was hilarious, especially his slow burn of not really reacting to it. So with that in mind, I'm like, do not drop this in my food. Meanwhile, my original waitress comes by not to talk to me, but just in an orbit, sees that I've got a napkin covering my plate and scoops up my plate, starts taking it away. And I have lost all presence of mind to do anything but shout, no, no, stop. She's like, and she put it back down again and ran off. Meanwhile, she had already asked me once before, anything else you need? I said, yes, jelly for my toast. And I saw her turn around. I'm like, I could see the jelly for the toast fly out of her head and go away. Especially because she goes immediately to another table, starts talking to them. I'm like, that jelly is just not going to show up. It's going to be another thing that doesn't show up. I'll have dry toast at the end of all this. So after I shouted, no, no, and freaked her out, I said, jelly, jelly. And I'm like, now I'm a total freak. Now I'm totally in the obsessive compulsive Melvin. But I'm like, I know she's going to remember to bring the jelly now. And that's all I care about now. That and protecting my food from the mop and this. I'm like, do you have to do that too? Anyway, by the time I finished eating, had the jelly on my toast. Actually, she came back one more time. We don't have strawberry jelly. Is grape okay? I'm like, grape is fine. Just give me the damn jelly. I cheered up considerably. Finally, I got all the calories, read the paper.
Yeah.
And she's like, can I take your plates away now? Now she's like tiptoeing every time she said, yes, and please bring the check. I'm fine. I'll get out of your way too. And she came back and said, I'm sorry it was such a shit show today. I said, it happens. And then she again
Yeah.
said she was, trying to tell the manager, like, I let your feelings be known about the hostess not bringing coffee. And I said, don't get her. I don't want her to be in trouble. I could see she was busy too. But just as a customer, I really wanted my coffee. And she's like, okay, well, try and do better next time. But I left thinking, like, that was such a draining thing. That did not recharge my batteries, nor ingratiate me to the people that see me all the time. Maybe I'll give it a few weeks before I come back. I don't know. I saw in the Chronicle there was an image of the Barton Springs Bridge because they were saying there's a, I don't know, anniversary of it, and they're gonna have like a pedestrian party on this bridge, and they had a nice picture of the bridge, but it said courtesy Getty Images. I'm like, why would you pay the licensing fee to Getty Images when you could send anybody with a camera to go take a picture of this bridge? You live here. I thought, well, I guess if they thought of putting this blurb in right before deadline, there are journalistic reasons why you would get the Getty stock images, but it just seemed weird to me when I first saw it. Why Getty Images in the Chronicle?
Well,
Another
and the
weird thing,
Chronicle has no photo library of, they've been
their
around
own
for a
stock.
million years. Yeah. Why don't they have their own stock photos?
They could have
They
had.
probably covered the opening of the bridge.
Yeah, it might be a thing where they still have like metal file drawers full of old stuff, and they haven't
Might.
digitized it because that's a time and an expense that they just, you know what it takes to do that. It
Yeah.
takes any journalistic entity a long time to go and get around to it.
Hmm.
There was a sign. I was heading down South Lamar, just crossed the bridge, first grass median there. There's like a lawn sign, hand drawn. It said with a phone number and said vasectomy. Call for. I'm like,
Who the hell's going to call that number?
who's gonna call that number? And if they do, you, the guy answering that phone, probably don't want that customer either. Neither of this should be a transaction that works. Why would you put? You can't possibly be a reputable vasectomy doctor and then
You're
put a
hand drawing signs?
hand drawn
Yeah, probably.
sign, this handwriting Sharpie thing, and a phone number. And then you can't. You're driving past at 30 miles an hour. You can't read it anyway. But it really caught my eye. I almost thought about like walking over there and doing a little short video. Like, do you trust this? And then panning down to it. But I just couldn't make the time to actually do that. Oh God, I was going to talk a little bit about. Huh, well, yeah, I had all sorts of interesting ideas. Just I'll check with you. Anything going on with you this week before I keep going?
Um, Anything popping to mind? I was very disappointed in Bass Reeves on Netflix. I thought that might be an interesting show about a formerly enslaved dude who becomes the first black deputy U.S. Marshal, and I think he captures over 1,000 outlaws in his lifetime. And I
Oh,
thought, oh, that'd be kind of a cool story, and because he's a real historical figure. And it was, I watched 2 episodes, and it was the first one. I was so bored
oh.
that I started doing other things. You know how you're just sitting
Mm,
there and I'm picking up my phone and I'm opening my computer and I'm going, I'm supposed to be watching this, but it's not holding my attention at all. And
oh.
the writing, yeah, well, in my opinion, was soft. I mean, it's just like and these scenes they dragged and they weren't sharp. They're almost cliche, but drawn out. I already know what you're going to say in the scene, and you're taking
Uh,
a long time to do it. And so maybe I just watched too many shows, or maybe I've watched too many good shows to get to the point
yeah. How
quickly.
many episodes were going to be in this thing?
8, I think.
8.
It's a limited series based
Maybe they
on
had
this
enough
one.
for a 2-hour show, but not an 8-hour or 9-hour one.
Well, and I thought of you, Rob, because I was going. It started in chronological order, and I said this story should start with Bass being uh, doing something really dangerous as a U.S. Marshal or a
Yeah.
deputy U.S. Marshal, and then do
How did
flashback
he get
to
here?
show it would have really been a much better show.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it
Maybe
would
they're like, that's becoming a cliche. We're going to break the mold and tell it in order. It's like, no, this time you should.
definitely, because it was like, we've seen this before. And he started, he was the valet to a rich dude from Texas who had his own cavalry unit, the
Hmm.
Texas 11th Cavalry. And so he had to go to war with the guy. You know,
Oh,
he
right.
was
That's
valiant.
it. You're the Batman, the footman, the something.
But he took him into a battle and he threw him a Henry rifle and said, "Follow me, and don't shoot me with that, by the way."
Yeah,
And
watch where you're aiming that thing back there.
and he actually had the guts to follow the guy into a Union artillery battery, and so he got credit for that. And then the guy screwed with him by saying, "Hey, because of your bravery, I'll manumit you. I'll give you write out the
Mm.
paper right now and let you go, but you have to beat me at cards first." And he gets a flush, except for one card, and it was a queen, and he discards the queen and asks for one card, and he gets the spade that makes it a flush, but it was a simple flush, and the other guy goes, "Yeah, that's a pretty good hand, but it doesn't beat two of full house or four of a kind, and they're all queens." And he's going,
Hmm.
"You can't have four queens. I discarded a queen." He goes, "What are you talking about?" And then a
Oh
fight
boy.
ensues. Yeah. So anyway, it was that scene at least was kind of interesting, but it was just like you could have shown me that scene in flashback. And then
Yeah.
he
When you
spent time in Oklahoma at what was called Indian Territory then, and that was kind of interesting too. But it was just like that would have been a nice little nugget to throw in a flashback. But they told it in
rigorous chronological
yeah,
order.
and it just made everything really slow, and it was just like and uninteresting. And I said this should be fascinating, but it's not. And it had David Oluwole. I could never
Yellowo, I think it's called
a
pronounced. A
Yellowo,
Yellowo.
a Yellowo. Thank you. I can never pronounce it. I'm intimidated by that name. I just can't. I look at it and I pronounce it properly.
Unfortunately, yeah, we're all a little unused to African names.
Yeah. Well, that one in particular, I don't know why it freezes my brain. I go like this. But he's good. And there were a couple other berry peppers in it.
Oh,
Didn't even get to the episode where Donald Sutherland's in it
really?
because yeah. So I mean, it has names,
Hmm.
but and it was all shot here in Texas.
Oh,
But it
wow.
was like,
Not in
yeah,
Canada or something.
not in Canada, no, right there. And so anyway, it was. I was really disappointed. I thought I would like
Oh,
this a lot.
shoot. I
So I put on Lawrence of Arabia instead and enjoyed that.
that was just on right now on my TV's default movie setting. um, it's funny how I know I saw Lawrence of Arabia the first time in a theater, which is a good place to see it.
It is,
That
yeah.
that famous shot of Omar Sharif appearing out of the desert horizon. When you see that in 70 mil in a huge theater, it's like you really get the point of that shot. And I'm like, but the rest of the movie, it's like, wow, I remember that and him blowing the match out and him crashing and like that's the very first thing in the movie is he has his motorcycle crash that kills him, and then he blows out the match about 30 minutes later, and then the Omar Sharif thing happens not too long after that, and I'm like, those are 3 moments out of a 3 hour long movie. Do I really not remember the rest of the movie? Um, and occasionally, if I see another scene, I'm like, yes, I remember seeing that scene, but 2 minutes ago, I couldn't have told you that this scene happens. I went in and I remembered 3 exciting moments that made an impression on me, and the rest of it, I'm like, it was very good. It was extravagantly, again, good. Um, I saw it's a movie I always wanted to see called Amores Perros.
Oh yeah, Amores Perros, one of the
Yes.
early.
I missed it when it came out, but the director, let's see, Alejandro Iñarritu, one of those
Inarito.
three Mexican, like Cuaron,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a third guy, I forget. I don't know. It
Inarito,
feels like
and
there's three of them.
I think you're right.
Came up in the early 2000s and then
Right.
actually went to Hollywood and all of them
What a,
made
what
Academy
a
Award
career.
winning or nominated things. Iñárritu made the Birdman movie, which won in Best
Yep.
Picture 2015, and The Revenant, the thing where the bear mauls
Oh yeah,
Leonardo
yeah.
DiCaprio. Anyway, so I was like, oh, I need to see his original first movie that like got him out here, and the Alamo was showing it, and it's clearly he's that generation just after Pulp Fiction that said, ah, Tarantino has just kicked open the door for how you can make a little movie, and including making things all out of order. But in this
Mm-hmm.
case, it's not just that. It's actually it starts out with one story in the sort of underclasses of whatever Mexican city this is. They don't even say. All I know is it's not Ciudad Juarez because that's where they want to get out and go to. But they're kind of low lives because they're in the sort of dog fighting arena
Right.
world, and they're all crowded together, brother and wife and mother-in-law and things all in one little tiny thing with a big dog. And and then you start seeing there's going to be another section of the movie with an upper crust family, a famous model who's a celebrity and her boyfriend who's actually leaving his wife and family to create an apartment for her. And then this weird old hobo that seems to also be on the fringes of society and may or may not be kind of a hired killer kind of dude. And they all love their own dogs that they have. This is the
It's all
linking
about
element.
dogs.
And so they all three kind of like a Robert Altman movie almost, though there'd be like 15 characters instead of six. There's one place in time and space where they all meet at the same intersection.
Yeah.
And so the movie kind of points out what that is, and then you can back up and see them, how they got there, and then let's go back to that guy and why he was here that day, and then we'll follow him for a while, then we'll go back. So it's also a bit like a Richard Linklater movie, like Slacker or something, and something else. But so it's got that kind of young filmmaker energy where he's like just racing out of the gate to say, I'm talented and you're going to pay attention to me. And I'm like, yeah. I almost wonder, like, why didn't I get all energized seeing Pulp Fiction to want to do the same thing? And it's like, because I was already working on the Chronicle experiment. That was in my head as the movie I had to and wanted to make. So I wasn't sitting there thinking what would be my like high energy, young, all out of order thing that I, seemed like it would have been a natural thing to do. Oh, Jim Jarmusch movies too, kind of.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, 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 yeah. I
and
see that.
the one kid, Octavio, he discovers his dog is like a super dog. It kills one of the fighting dogs
Mm-hmm.
when challenged on the street, and they're like, "Hey, your dog might want to do this as a profession." And he's like, "Oh," and so it's like, "Oh, this is going to make me the money to get the heck out of here, and I'll steal my brother's wife, even though she's already got a baby and another one on the way." But we'll make that big one last fight and one big score, and then we'll be out of here. And it's just not going to happen for these people
No,
somehow. The crummy brother actually has a side hobby of robbing convenience stores, which makes him a
I
little
forgot that one.
dangerous.
Yeah.
And so it just, and of course, yeah, when your dog starts making that much money and killing others, otherwise super dogs that are the money makers for the bad guys in town, you attract too much attention. There's too much money involved, and it's very powerful people won't like you or your dog. So eventually, some harm. Oh, lots of animals are harmed in this movie, and I hope it was just they must have had a really good props guy who could make limp, injured fake dogs. They looked really, really accurate. But I'm like,
When they
either they
got
trained
tore
this
up,
dog to be
yeah.
absolutely limp, or they made a somehow prosthetic dog that looks so realistic. You're hoping this animal was not harmed making this movie. But really well done because a lot of dogs do get chewed
Bring
up,
in the
mauled,
limping
shot.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, the weird hobo guy ends up with this fighting dog after it's been shot to try and get it out of the fighting game. and he nurses it back to health, and then it kills all of his other dogs when he goes out one day, leaves it alone. It's finally healthy enough to like look around and say, "Hey, all these other dogs here." Arr. He comes home and all his other dogs are chewed to death. Pretty grim stuff. And indie movie, yeah, Racing Energy, blah blah blah. Best pick. You could tell this guy. You wouldn't be out of line to say maybe he'll make a Best Picture nomination one of these days. Just had all that working. Anyway, so that was really fun to see that because I had never seen that. I just always heard the name, and I actually for a while, grew up. I should know more Spanish since I grew up in Texas, but
I know. Me too.
I was more interested in learning French, so I skipped some high school classes of Spanish and took French instead. And the word perros, I almost thought that meant amores. That everyone knows what that means, but I almost thought perros meant like lost or afraid or something because there's a root word in the Romance languages of per meaning that, and they all use can to mean a dog. And so I'm like, oh yeah, of course I know the word Spanish word for dog. I do
Hello.
hear it all the time, and here it is, but I'd forgotten it somehow. And I even Googled like, why the hell does Spanish have such a different word for dog than all the other Latin based languages? And it said, no one knows. And maybe it was onomatopoeic and they picked that up somewhere in the south of Spain, somewhere in one of those things, and it just caught on. But yeah, no, they don't use the same Latin form as everyone else, and that's just the way
Yeah,
they do
canine.
it.
Yeah, it should be canine or some form of
It is
canine.
a
I can't.
linguistic mystery why
It
Spanish has
is,
such
and it's
different.
weird. And that was the first one I learned, and so I was kind of like, well, shouldn't that be the same thing in Italian and French?
I mean, their
But
word for
no,
cat, it makes it gatto, is cat,
gatto.
catus, everything.
But in French, it's chat, isn't it?
Yes,
Chat.
chat, that's which is really close to gatto in a way.
Yeah, yeah. That
Um,
apparently there was some G's and CH's made the change
yeah,
in a lot
they
of
blur and
languages.
elide, and consonants
Yeah.
soften over time from hard things to mushy things, and it's very.
Hmm.
Um, I had Oh, it's just a random musing about advertising since I have to see so much of it all the time. There were two things to come out of all the people of the world coming to the US for the first time for the World Cup. One is that they discovered ranch dressing and couldn't get enough of it and started trying to bring it
Is
in
that
their
right?
luggages. And TSA had to keep confiscating it and say, look, don't put ranch dressing in your luggage unless it's 1 ounce and 4 ounces or that thing.
Yeah, 3.4 ounces or
And in
whatever. Yeah.
fact, it got back to like Kraft or Hidden Valley, and they're like, hey, we could almost capitalize on this by making toothpaste tube sized ranch dressing packets for people. Um, but they also were shocked to see how many TV commercial breaks and how long each commercial break was, interrupting the match while they're trying to watch it on TV. Because they don't do that in other countries. The blitz
No.
of just solid football style advertising, they're like, what is this? We just had now we're seeing more commercials and they're all going crazy. It's like, yeah, it does seem like maybe it's a bit much over here, isn't it? Now that you pointed out, we have gotten inured to it, but I'm wondering
Well,
about like,
FIFA started that hydration break for Qatar 4 years ago, and they could throw 2 minutes of commercials in there because they had 2 minute hydration
oh,
break.
hydration. Well, they
Well,
they really did need a hydration break in
they
Qatar.
did then,
They
yeah,
really
because
did.
people might die.
They might
So,
die.
and so, yeah, but they kept it for this time, and they kept the break. And so the joke among the commentators is, well, at least in World Cup soccer, you don't have halves anymore; you have quarters.
Right.
22 minute quarters.
20
So
22 quarters. But I was just thinking about how much they have to advertise a movie when it's a movie, but also how much in my lifetime McDonald's has advertised when
oh
everybody in the
yeah.
world knows about McDonald's. Yet McDonald's feels the need to put McDonald's advertising on all the time. As if like, yeah, everyone knows McDonald's restaurants exist, but if we don't actually get in their face and remind them, they won't think about going, or it won't prompt the kids to go, I gotta go to McDonald's, I gotta go to McDonald's or whatever. And they have to keep perpetually advertising for something everybody knows is there. I'm going a little crazy because YouTube, HEB seems to be just fire hosing my YouTube with HEB ads. Go to HEB, shop at HEB. And they're all kind of obnoxious. I'm like, I know HEB exists. In fact, I shop there every week. Why do you need that? I live in Texas. We all know HEB is there. What are you doing? But I guess I guess it bears out because that's what the numbers are. I don't know.
Really, it must, because it's such a low margin business that you wouldn't waste money on advertising if it didn't
How many more
solidify.
people does it get to go to HEB that wouldn't already be going to HEB?
And the thing about HEB is, it's a weird brand because people who go to HEB become, and I'm one of them, become huge. I wouldn't go to another store.
Mm,
I love my HEB. I love the way they run things. I love the what's available there, and I go all the time. You don't need to advertise to me,
yeah.
right? I'm already. Plus, I come from San Antonio, which was the land of HEB. So,
Yes.
and
What's the closest HEB to you?
the one on Red River, 41st Street.
Oh, that one. Oh, of course. Yeah,
They
that
call it
makes
the
sense. You
Hancock.
just go up a
Yeah,
little, not
yeah,
to
yeah.
reveal your location.
You just said people will be looking it up now,
Oh no. Uh,
or
but yeah.
AI will be looking it up.
Anyway, yeah, that's I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
another one, Rob. Why do Coke and Pepsi continue to
yes.
think they have to continue to bombard us with
Coke and
advertising?
Pepsi ads.
Coke and Pepsi during the World Cup. It's been those two, two
Oh,
ads over and
right,
over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, man, I've been watching Coke ads since I was 5,
right. If I
and
want a
they
Coke,
just
I'll go get one. I had a Diet Coke just before we started the show, so I didn't feel
there you
real
go.
peppy. And I didn't even have to see an ad to go do it. Um, just to run out. So it was a big deal that I played music before a live audience, and especially that I played drums.
How did it go?
It
You
went
didn't.
really well. It was fun.
Okay.
We played like 20 songs over the course of two
Wow.
hours, and they'd only rehearsed 6 with me, so there were ones I didn't know, including the best one that I kept up with. In fact, that's what the guy said afterwards. Oh, it's Mike Furstenfeld. That guy keeps popping up again.
Oh,
It's
Mike
his little
Furstenfeld.
band.
Ah,
Um, they had a medley of, because it was a solstice kind of celebration. They had a medley of all the pop songs that have the word sun in the title. Here comes
okay.
the sun, blister in the sun, da da da. Da. And they kept switching every few phrases, and I'm like, "You're lucky I know most of these." But otherwise, Mike's hitting the rhythm guitar so much, I'm just sort of, I could, I was fortunately
Following
wasn't
it.
sitting behind them. I was sitting to the side so I could watch them. That really helped. But you hear da 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 da. I'm like, I know what my part is. It's coming up in a second. And I thought that's funny that they have that in there, but they've never had a drummer play that before, because that seems like it's an integral part of that Violent
A
Femmes
tune.
song.
Yeah.
But the audience did so I'm like, oh, it works every time because the audience knows it. But there was also, they did a bit from Here Comes the Sun. And as soon as they started doing that, I was like, ooh, there's a part in this song, and we're about to do it, that has a really tricky double time signature change from like a really oddball count and then 2 measures of an even different count. And when you're just listening to the song, you don't even hear it. But if you're trying
Yeah.
to play it, you get all out of sync if you think it's just 4/4, because it's not. And
Ah.
so as soon as they start playing it, my brain, because I'm there and I'm live and I'm doing this, some other part of my brain went to access memory, like, remember that interview you've seen with Ringo Starr saying, that was a tricky bit for me because I don't do funny time signatures. we had to figure out a way that I could play that, and we came up with it so that I could do it every time and nail it. And it was easy for me, but we had to figure it out. And he explained it. He's like, you got to go da 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 da, something like that. Uh, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Da 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 da. So, son, here comes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, you're right. I never thought of that before. There is
So
like a little stutter in there, and then it goes
there's a
into
little
the
stutter
next.
in there. And I was so, I'm thanking my brain for doing this while I'm in the middle of. And so when that part came up, I did what I remembered Ringo doing, and it fit in. But I also remember, and I would have sworn this, that I saw Mike Furstenfeld lean over to me with a smile and say, uh, tricky time signature coming up, and that we had to do the tricky bit twice. And then they kept going to other songs in the medley and stuff like that. And then 2 days went by. But I came home and I was all fizzing with energy from it. And I was especially remembering that part. I was like, wow, that was intense, and I nailed that. And Mike gave me that hint, and I had 2 tries at doing it. The video he uploaded, I watched it. None of that. It had one iteration of doing that bit. In fact, that's
Hmm.
almost the only bit of the song that was there.
Oh,
And so there was no like long preamble where I had time to think about it. Mike definitely at no point leaned over and said anything to me.
hmm.
And it only happened once. And I'm like,
And you recollect it totally
I
differently.
recollected it totally differently. It's the minute I got home that night, that's what my memory was. And it was so
Hmm.
intense. I'm like, this must be how it happened.
That's
Now,
why memory is a funny thing because it's constructed, and it's not like
I could have
it's
sworn
not a
he leaned
recording
over
in
to
your
me and
head.
said, careful, here's the tricky bit. He did not, he was just singing the song. And I'm like, well, so why did I remember him doing that? But he might have been, in his own mind, he's like, tricky bit's coming up. He might have thought it so loud. I mind read him, and it looked to me in my head that he leaned
You
over and
overheard
said
his
something to
thoughts.
me.
Yeah.
That has happened to me more, at least one other occasion in my life where I swore someone like kind of close and said something to me, and I asked a follow up question, and they went, "What?
Oh.
I didn't say anything. You didn't?" It was it was in film school, and I was taught sitting at dinner across from someone like this, and I could have sworn they went, "Man, I am so homesick." So I went, "Oh, homesick for where?" And they went,
Oh.
"Huh? Homesick? Where are you? Where are you? Where's home? What homesick?" And it's like, I am feeling homesick, but I didn't say anything. And I went, "Are you sure?" And it's like, I'm not joking with you. I didn't say anything, and now you're freaking me out, man. Anyway, so if that's a superpower, I have no control over it whatsoever, and it hasn't led to anything. Being able to read minds in 1 or 2 strange times in my life made no difference
Yeah.
in the course of history whatsoever.
No.
But I played the song okay. I don't know, but yeah, and it went really well, especially since I had to improvise as it was going. Fulfilled my ambition. I always knew, like, hey, if someone just put me in, coach, I'm pretty sure I can play the drums. I really think so. Someone give me a shot. With a little more practice, I could probably play keyboards or a bass or something too. I still don't
Hmm.
think I'm proficient on guitar, though I was practicing that a couple of months ago, and then I just sort of lost track of time in the week to practice guitar. Anyway, but yeah, like well, now that I've checked that off, what do I do next? I don't know. I still have to haven't digitized a single tape of the Chronicle experiment, even though I
Oh
bought some
yeah.
equipment, and then I realized, like, okay, I've got all sorts of hardware lined up. Have I thought about whether I have any firewire cables?
Oh, I have some if you need them.
And I'm like, well, I'm sure I do. I've never thrown away a single cable in my life, but I got lots of cables draped all over the
I know. I
place.
really should get rid of a
And they're not
bunch of those.
necessarily with like my my camera. That's not where I kept it. So I'm like, I've got all the pieces in that I need to find the wires now that go in between them. I'm like, that might take a day to do also. But I'm trying to think. It will give me an opportunity to like rearrange, possibly clean up, possibly prune some stuff out of here. So look at it as a whole regenerative
It's an
process.
opportunity. That's right. An
It's an
opportunity to clean
opportunity.
up.
It's a multiple opportunity to get several things done all at once. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we need to drag this out any farther. Yeah, this has been an energetic chat, and I still don't know how the algorithm works. Although I'm really thinking it started showing me that original episode with the bad thumbnail again, and I'm like, is it showing other people that too? Because that will really make me mad. Maybe that's people aren't watching. YouTube's trying to show them that original thing, and I'm like, why would anyone start watching there? I can mark it as private for a while so it's not in the lineup or something. But it's like, what other, if people are regularly, because now we're doing weekly, we're regularly on top
Oh
of
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it just show the most recent episode? Why would it put the, it's very frustrating because I have no control over this thing.
Right.
Although
It's not a human mind making that
I
decision either.
glanced at some of the analytics. I don't want to stare too carefully at them because that could actually like ruin my mood more than uplift it to like see the actual data. But I think the one that we got 94 views on, the average length of time they watched was lower than the one where we got 16 views. Like they actually watched,
Wow.
the fewer people watched for longer numbers of minutes than the multiple number of people. So what does that mean? I don't know. Oh, also, by the way, apparently the Chrome experiment is now over 700 views in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
That's almost getting to where they start monetizing the thing or something. But of course, that also means
Nice.
they put
Put
commercials in it.
ads in
Right now,
there.
people, one good selling point is you can watch it without ads because it's not monetized at all. But that's a much more of a success than I thought, considering I'm not doing anything. I just put it up there. Movie, full official movie, that's all I called it. And people started watching it. I am thinking like if you watched it on a phone, it might remove some of the fact that it is a little lower resolution than things. It's not a 4K
Mhm.
movie. I didn't
No.
upres it at all. Well, I upres it from 720 to 1080 or whatever, whatever. But if you're watching it on a phone, it squeezes it down. It might look kind of normal if you that's how you usually watch things. Maybe people are just watching it on their phones. I don't know.
Maybe so. A lot of
Maybe
people are
so.
watching long form on their TV. I mean, on their phones now. So it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, yeah. So like, I think it was the right decision. I'll just leave it there, see what happens,
Cool.
and make plans to upload some. Oh, I also here's another thing that just sort of happened. I never remember doing anything in particular to actually officially set up a Google Drive, even though of course I have a Google account. My
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is all Google accounts. My email is a Google account.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people like when we did like the Craig Caney memorial,
Mm-hmm.
someone uploads stuff to their Google Drive, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow that interfaced with
That's
mine.
Mary Alice. Yeah.
And but somehow I was fiddling with something either on the phone or the laptop, and just like a whole window, here's your Google Drive, brr, and it had all this stuff in it. It was like a little treasure box, almost time capsule of like stuff I had that actually got into this Google thing, or I had deliberately put it there. I couldn't remember. But when we did that, uh, sort of those little mini features Crone sequel, that was
Oh
like
yeah.
early 2012 was actually when we did that. Apparent because what I uploaded to YouTube was sort of behind the scenes stuff from that, not the actual scenes all cut together. I thought I never got around to that or something, but
Mm-hmm.
apparently I did cut them and put them on my Google Drive because they're on my Google Drive. And I'm
Oh
like, oh,
wow.
I should just upload those to the Chrome channel now that I found them. I didn't know I had those. I was going to go looking for them as part of this project. but that was weird to find. And a work in progress of a script I was working on with a friend of mine about 10 years ago. We were going to call it Loose Cannon. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
a parody of all buddy cop movies all at once. We had some great jokes, and I left this huge complete file of like our initial premise, the first scenes we wrote, and then us having a like chat conversation of like everything we wanted to do that we hadn't actually officially written yet, all in one nice document stuck on this Google Drive, and it just popped. I'm like, oh. So I like wrote to him the other day and said, hey, I just found our thing. I might want to still work on this because this looks funny. And he said, that's weird. I just thought about writing to you 2 days ago. And that's around the time I found this document and started thinking, more weird brain stuff. So I said, well, it's good to talk to you. Like, yeah, I think we had a lot of crazy fun ideas for this. Um, it's the one of those kinds of things where you've seen so many movies together,
Mm.
you and your buddy, that like all the cliches and tropes, and you just want to kind of make fun of them by doing them, but also like do them for real. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, the last thing was there was a guy at my writers group yesterday who very successfully launched a entirely self-published on Amazon Kindle Marketplace book series and career as a novelist.
Oh.
His day job was being like a professor in the business school at UT. So he was like, "No, I have always wanted to be a writer, a creative writer, a fiction writer. But as a business guy, I wanted this to be a business. I want to actually make money at this. I'm going to figure it out." And he actually told us how he figured out the monetization and you actually have to bid on. I think I will get the rights to science fiction void, you know, keywords for 53 cents a click, something like that. And if someone says, no, I bid 60 cents a click, eventually goes to a bidder, and then that's the price per
Oh.
click, and everyone. And he says newbies come in and say, I'll pay $1.50 per click and ruin everything for everyone else. That's too high, newbie. And if you say 15 cents, that you're never going to win the bid, so you have to
Right.
figure all this stuff. And I didn't know any of that. I didn't know it was auction based.
I didn't know that
um,
either.
and he said right now what's really hot are kind of science fiction, especially science fiction with kind of sense of humor and about colonization. I said, hey, isn't my Murder on Mars thing essentially all three of those keywords in
Yeah.
there? Like maybe it should stop being, because I got stuck on it. That's another thing that was on my Google Drive, was a nice pristine copy of the script for
Murder
that.
on Mars.
Uh, um,
Maybe you
it
should
started
write the
getting away from me
novel.
because it started getting bigger, especially
Mm-hmm.
as I tried to figure out how exactly did they set up this base, how big is it, and what people are there, and I started thinking of more characters. I'm like, um, he's like, well, in fact, make it a book series. That's what they really like, not just one book, but several. You keep cranking them out for a while. Keep telling stories in the same thing that you've set up, and people will buy several in a row, and then you make money. And I'm like, well, that wasn't my intention. I still wanted to hear the radio version of it, but maybe it got that back on the top of my mind again. Just the fact
Hmm.
that he named the genre exactly that I was trying to
I
come up
know.
with,
Maybe you should be
it
writing
was
that
really
novel.
strange. Okay, noted. I'll get right on that in my voluminous free time between gigs. Actually, there are no gigs coming up, but maybe it's just the one gig. But now I can say I've done that. Check, check.
That's
It's
cool. And you
funny
had a
that
good
I'm
time?
not nervous in front of an audience. I don't know why that is. That feels like some kind of superpower too. I mean, when I agreed to do the sound thing for the tavern, uh, I got hired to do that, and there it was not tested or proven that I wouldn't have like hideous stage fright and be unable to go on. Fortunately, that was not the case. I was pretty cool about it. But did we know that? he did.
No.
Norman didn't even ask. Might this be a problem for you? It
No,
didn't
that's
even
funny
occur to him.
because it didn't occur to me either. because I'm so used to doing that. I didn't even think twice.
One or the other. Yeah, you've done it a lot. Although some people who do it a lot feel it every time. I hear that a lot. When we had the Crone cast and crew movie showing, we packed a theater,
Hmm.
and I even had some friends kind of fly across the country to come see it. And I got up and made remarks and introduced it
Hmm.
and this and that. And they came up to me afterward, and these are some of my nerdier friends. I'm like, how did you didn't seem nervous at all? This is your big night. All these people are here, and you just got up and you spoke like, "Hey," and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"No, I didn't feel nervous. Was I supposed? Was I supposed to?" But they really thought it was remarkable. They're like, "There's no way I could have done that. My mouth would have gone dry, and I would have
I have a
stammered."
lot
And
of people tell me that too, and I don't get it either. I have no problem standing in front of
I
people.
just don't. I feel like, especially if like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
somehow is enough for me to feel okay about it. I know
Hmm.
why I'm here because I'm supposed to be, but I don't. I'm like, I don't want that to go away because maybe that will still come in handy in the future. I should figure out more, public performance type things to do since I seem to be comfortable with that. Apparently, you can make make a living doing such things as well.
Hmm.
Uh, if only I'd written like a book, I could go on a book tour or something. I don't know.
Yep. You
I
be
need to
on
become
all the
famous
late
for
night shows.
something. If I just
Yeah.
become famous for something, I can start multiplying it. But I haven't gotten that one olive out of the olive jar yet to make all the rest of them. It's one of my dad's favorite metaphors. Like, you just got to get that first olive out. And I'm like, I'm still at my age, I still haven't gotten one of these olives out. Although, who knows? Because Crone is like that. All if it came out of the
That
jar,
was an olive.
that was an olive, but nothing tumbled after it. But now it's online and it's getting cranking views every day. That might lead to something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do a regular podcast all the time now. I don't know what that means. Still only 16 viewers, but who knows?
They're
Um,
dedicated 16 viewers, though.
They're
They're very
dedicated
dedicated.
16 viewers. Thank you, viewers. We appreciate you very much. All right.
Oh.
Well, I guess that's gonna about do it for the two of us this week. We'll be back next week, or maybe I might need a week off because I'm getting run down. Also, it's gonna be wow, end of June, early July.
Oh,
It's
right after the
oh,
4th, huh?
no, it's gonna be just before the fourth, I guess. I guess
Oh,
actually,
okay.
since today's the 23rd, there's the
Oh,
30th,
right. There's the 30th. Right.
so it won't interfere with the Fourth. You got any Fourth of July plans?
No, we usually do something, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what we'll do.
Huh, okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go and try and get this uploaded and so I can enjoy it in the comfort of my home and relax. Maybe get some sleep. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm
Anyway,
tired today too, and I don't understand why. Anyway,
yeah. But anyway, I'm glad we showed up. I had a lot
I
to
agree.
say.
It was fun. Yeah, you had some crazy, crazy stories to tell, so that was good. I love it.
All right. See you next time, Tom. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everybody.